What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I haven't played Ark in about 2 months, but I'm super stoked and pumped for Genesis. We finally got a lot of things leaked the other day with the brand new live stream that came out, and it's about 12 different things we've been notified about. Now I'm going to try to summarize this up as much as I possibly can, and then some of the other things that are worth making more in-depth videos into, I definitely will. There's a couple new creatures, and there's also a couple new structures, tools, and a few other things. Really encourage you guys to stay till the end. I'm going to try and make this video as quick and as informing as possible, because there are some very interesting creatures that come along at the end. So the first creature we have is Ferox. It's a shoulder mount, it can find element, and it actually digs it out of the ground. It becomes a massive beast after it eats a certain amount of element. It's very fast, and it actually has a pounce attack similar to the raptor. It can also perform multiple leaping abilities while climbing mountains and rocks and other things like that. It's very similar to the Hulk, and every single time he transforms, he builds up the need for more element. The higher his need increases, the easier he will enrage, sort of like a Giga. Now the coolest thing about him, in my opinion, is as you fight with him, you build up an ultimate move. He actually mega slams and knocks everyone off of their mount unless they're on another Ferox. This is pretty much one of the only creatures we've ever seen which has an ultimate move, but yeah, basically as you attacking, I guess kill or maybe just do more damage, eventually he'll build up an ultimate attack where he, I guess, slams the ground or does something similar, and then everybody gets knocked off their tames. Like I said, I'll make a more in-depth video on a couple of these things, especially the tames, so that we can talk a little bit more about it and theorize a little bit more about it, but I want to keep this video as short as possible, so let's keep it moving. The next thing we have is the Magmasaur. This beast is a lizard. It's very similar to the thorny dragon. It's a fire-based creature, and it also charges up an internal heat to build up attacks. Now, not only does it sound pretty cool for PvP, but this thing's also a literal forge, and if you drop metal into it, it'll actually smelt the metal for you. He also has a saddle, which is a heat shield, and it allows you to swim in lava. Once he's charged up, he's able to do melee burns. He can also shoot out long-range projectiles, or he can do a short-range AoE attack. His favorite food is oil, gas, and propellant, and while he uses these attacks, he will actually burn through a significant amount of food. Just like a car, it wouldn't be a bad idea to bring around an extra gas tank, because you will always want to have this thing fueled up while you're riding him. Now we're going to be talking about a few of the brand new structures and equipment, but don't worry, there's going to be some really, absolutely mind-blowing creatures coming up in just a couple of minutes. So the next thing we have is the ocean platform. The ocean platform is very similar to the other platform structures. It actually floats on water. You can pretty much build anything on it. You can actually foundation off the entire middle or leave it open as like a little water pen. It also has a very high structure limit. There's a wood version and also a metal version. The wood version is the smallest one, but the metal version is actually a lot larger. It can fit the entire wood platform inside of it. The next thing we have is the tech remote guided missile. Now currently in the game we already have a homing missile, but this is a tech remote guided missile, and it's a little bit different. Now this is a shoulder fired missile like every other missile we currently have in the game. When you shoot it, you can actually watch the missile fly out and you can control it. When it hits, it'll explode, or you can make it explode a little bit early while it's still in air. It does a lot of damage, but only has a one-time use, and it also gets very hard to control over time. The cool thing about it though is once it explodes, it'll pan out so you can see all the damage you did, which is pretty interesting, but they did say that you can skip this if you really need to, if you're in a PvP combat situation, but still, if they're offline or maybe you're like doing this to a creature, it is still pretty cool to see that. We have a couple more structures to go over, which is the tech alarm system and also the pressure plate. I'm actually really intrigued about these two brand new things being added because they open up so many possibilities within the Ark. Both of these basically act as a trigger. If somebody steps on the plate, it'll recognize if it's a friendly or an enemy. It same goes for the tech alarm system. If it sees somebody in front of it, it can recognize if it's a friendly or an enemy. It works with anything that has a pin code, traps, lights, turrets, or anything else. The pressure plate requires somebody or something to step on it, while the tech alarm system can actually detect things from much further away and has a very customizable interface. You can customize it if you wanted to detect things from very far away, very close, very small, a circle, a box, a wide area, very short area, and cool other things like that. One of the first ideas that this popped into all of our heads probably is this would be great for a taming pen. Even using something as simple as a pressure plate would be really easy, really convenient, and awesome. Now in my opinion, this opens up so many things and so many different ideas which could work for really good for PvE. I'm not gonna lie, PvE was probably gonna love this stuff, but this definitely will come in handy when it comes to PvP as well. When I first heard the tech alarm system, I thought that this would kind of notify you if you're being offline raided, which I hope there is still a possibility to allow this to happen in some way, but I don't know. Like I said, there's so many possibilities with this. We're gonna have to test it out, and I believe that this will definitely be used by many alpha bases. Off the top of my head right now, I can't think of exactly anything this will do, but at the same time, we have to be able to interact with it to see exactly what we can do and what our advantages are with this. The next thing we have is the tech jump pad. It's very configurable. It works in all directions. It can go on all surfaces. It can be configured to wherever you want it to launch you, how far you want it to launch you, how short you want it to launch you. You can actually set up multiple of these things to work together. So basically, if you set one like on this wall and then you hit that, and then it'll bounce you to another jump pad and then another jump pad. So if you like have a high base on top of a cliff or something, you can kind of use this to get up to it. The devs also mentioned that you can use this as like a little bit of a trap feature, but at the same time, I don't think anybody would be stupid enough to step on top of a tech jump pad to get trapped, but hey, I guess it's possible. The next thing we have is the primitive fish net. I was a little bit disappointed when I honestly saw this, but basically it's just good for early game fishing. It can capture multiple fish and it'll reward you the amount of fish meat based on the amount and size that you've captured. Yeah, I think this is kind of just more on the PvE side. You could literally just go in the water and pike some fish to death. I don't really know why you'd use this unless they're not telling us about a really big usage. That just kind of seems like a little bit of a pointless item to show us. The next thing we got to talk about is a brand new mining drill. It's basically the super harvester. It can harvest any resource rapidly and it uses gasoline. Now, as you use this, it can actually overheat. So you want to take breaks before actually allowing it to overheat, because if it does overheat, then it will decrease the durability. If you use this against a player or an animal, it'll actually give off a little bit of a flashbang effect. Now, the devs have confirmed that this won't beat animals at what they're good at harvesting. So the ankylo for metal, the dodic for stone, this won't beat them, but it'll still be pretty good if you guys don't have those animals or don't have super high melee on them yet. Oh my gosh, the next thing we have to talk about is the tech shoulder cannon, which, yes, just like how it sounds, it is a literal portable turret that sits on your shoulder. So this item has multiple fire modes. It has a rapid fire mode, which is good for up close, a normal, which is good for medium, and a sniper, which is good for far away. The settings are very similar to the turret, with high range and also short range, enemies, wild dinos, and other things like that. It fits in the shield slot, and you should be able to dodge the attacks if you move in different directions, similar to the tech turret if you have enough movement speed. Yeah, not gonna lie, I'm pretty excited for this, but at the same time, this sounds like it could possibly be incredibly overpowered, and let's just pray that this is not a literal tech turret sitting on your shoulder. Really not sure how I feel about this one, but I'm gonna have to test it for myself to see if it's actually really good, overpowered, or a little bit underpowered and maybe needs a little bit of a buff. I don't know, I'm really scared for this item though. Alright, so now we have the literal craziest creature I've ever seen in all of Ark. I'm unbelievably excited for this, and it's actually called the Bloodstalker. So when I first saw this thing, I said, holy, what the freak? And yeah, it's a very unique creature. It actually shoots webs to grab players or creatures to suck their blood. It can also shoot webs to grapple around the entire map. It can stick to walls and surfaces. It has a massive amount of movement, and it's very fast. It also can walk on water, but it can also dive, and it can pull things up to you from the water. Now, if the mounter does pull out a weapon or tool or something similar to that, it'll actually put you in a very good position where you can fire off at other things, players, creatures, and stuff like that, and they labeled it as a sentry position. Sort of like when you have a sentry turret, it's kind of mounted up. You gotta kind of think about this in the same position like that. I really want to get a lot further in depth with this, but dude, this thing looks so crazy. I'm gonna make a whole separate video on this because this is probably the one dino that I'm super excited for out of all of them. Next, we have something a little bit more simple, but it is biome-specific reskins. So basically, dinos in each biome will look differently based on the biome features, and also these dinos will have a boosted HP or melee stats. They said this is really good for people who want to min-max their stats, but I don't believe it'll be too much of a higher boost, and I believe it'll only deal with either HP or melee. They really didn't specify during the stream. The next thing we have is Moeder, a very big underwater mid-tier boss. The boss hides out inside of a massive cavern. It actually has babies that you need to fight. They're all massive eels. They also have significant close-range electrical attacks and very large electrical projectiles that will be thrown around. Now, the rewards for defeating this boss will consist of at least some engrams. And keep in mind, it's a mini-boss. Think about this sort of like the lava golem on Ragnarok. Now, that thing rewards you with some good gear and also some good blueprints, but at the same time, that thing's very easy to cheese and doesn't really need to take any skill or tactics at all. I think they're going to make this thing definitely a lot harder. And the next thing we have is the lunar biome. It's a very galactic biome similar to the moon. It has much lower gravity that you bounce around as you run or even when you jump. While you're in this biome, your oxygen will actually deplete, but they put in oxygen vents to provide you with oxygen. You can also use an oxygen tank or a tech suit to cover this issue as well. Another thing is that this biome also features the sun. If you guys remember how the surface area actually works on aberration, basically when the sun time comes up, the entire thing gets scorched and you will burn and die if you go up there. This isn't as aggressive aggressive, and you can actually hide behind rocks to not get burnt to crisp completely, but it will still probably make the environment around you very hot, and you will want to have fortitude or maybe even some water jars so that you don't die from this. This biome is for very end game players. It's not meant to build a base in, it's actually meant to farm in. Meteors will fall from the sky. It also contains metal and element nodes, and this is where a lot of the missions that are going to be introduced to the game will be held at. This biome contains a creature's name which I cannot pronounce at all, but I will try my best, so please don't hate on me in the comments for it. So, the Astro-cetus has a magical teleporting ability. Anything near it will be pulled into a bubble and teleported along with it, or also sort of like a hyperdrive ability. Maybe not a teleport, but supersonic speed will just dash very far. They labeled it as an alpha/top tier limited tame. They don't want many people having these, or many people having many of these creatures. The saddle includes 3 ball turrets, which seems to require players to mount the turrets. I don't exactly know what they're referring to as ball turrets. I think they might be brand new things in the game, but that is the specific word that they did use. They also mentioned trying to cheese this tame and make it stay in one spot could possibly make this tame completely vanish. Additionally, it can convert its energy into bombs, which the rider can drop. So very cool, very interesting, a completely different flyer tame, and I'm very interested to see this. Now, yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's basically it. I tried my hardest to make this not go over 10 minutes, but there were so many different things that they showed us, and I'm actually really even more excited for Genesis. If you guys didn't know, it has been delayed, but let's be honest, if you are a wildcard fan like I am, it's not surprising. We always know, we always expect these things to get delayed, and it has been delayed till January 2020. It's only about a month delay, but hopefully it doesn't get pushed back even further, although once again, I do expect that, and I wouldn't be surprised. With this DLC and with all the things that they've showed us so far, I'm not gonna lie, it seems like they are listening to the community a lot more, but in my opinion, we'll really see if they listen to us in what we wanted when we actually see the map, and if meshing is possible and as common as it is on all other maps. I will be shocked and give Wildcard a complete round of applause if meshing is completely solved and not as big of an issue as it is on every single map when they came out on this map, and that means that they actually know what we want and they're actually trying to solve that solution. Maybe since I haven't played the game for a while, I just have high hopes and maybe a little bit of high expectations, but we have been disappointed when it comes to Wildcard before. Hopefully they won't disappoint us once again. With Genesis, it seems like they're trying to put a brand new name on Ark. They're calling Genesis sort of like a revolved Ark and a completely different thing, so hopefully it is revolved and the dev team has changed a little bit. Anyway, like I said, I'm sorry for making all this stuff very vague, although I try to go into as much detail as I possibly can for you guys to understand this. I'll make separate videos on this later so that you guys can see all the things in depth and lots of details included. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you guys smash that like button. If you guys are new around here, you guys want to see some more fantastic art content, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. And if you guys have any questions, leave in the comment section down below, or you guys want to discuss some of the crazy cool things in the comments down below. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you guys later. Goodbye.